I am for doing any type of strategy that has a chance of working. And I think Brian's strategy can be used quite effectively. But I think if we distribute this strategy to all the different organizations that we have contact with across the nation, it will serve as a very effective attack.
Yeah, the point of having these 50 policies is to bring in all the different groups with their own members and that they have in their silos, and to have a broad base of people that, but by allying with disgruntled voters who don't have any loyalty to either of the two parties. Yeah, I think there's a natural synergy between like the People's Party and the American Union.
Power to the people. Yes, sir.
I see a possibility to disrupt the duopoly.
For sure. So as I think about the parties, and as a trainer for the Racial Equity Institute, I have been studying and researching a lot of data and policies that the Democratic Party has specifically targeted poor people and marginalized people. And then we can also see on the right side, right, where the Republicans have specifically targeted marginalized and poor people. So we see that they're both doing the same thing, just different names. So two different wings, I guess, of the same evil bird, right? And it's like, how are we going to build collective power? How are we going to organize and challenge that structure? It's almost like it was created by design. Is that I think so many folks are missing the mark when it comes to organizing. I think that we're so used to talking about political engagement as far as like voting and registering people to vote. And like, that's huge. But when we knock on doors, we can't just say, hey, vote for Eric Robert or vote for this person or that person, right? We're missing the whole mark of organizing. You have to say, hey, I'm Kanai, who are you, right? Like the whole relationship building aspect, right? Like of forming relationships, building relationships, and then utilizing relationships, I think is one of the most important parts that's missing in organizing and just building collective power.
The hardest part though, Eddie, is persuading people that we have the power, to actually change the system, because people have gotten so disillusioned over the last 20, 30 years, and they've just given up. And that's why so many people, I believe, don't vote. Yeah, everyone in America has the opportunity to know what's in it and decide if they have any primary objections or if they prefer the status quo. You guys have the power to be the deciders. And as long as the Democratic Party takes the black vote for granted, then you don't really have any leverage over somebody if you're gonna vote blue no matter who. So by being willing to walk away, by being willing to go on strike, that's where a union has the power. So I hope you can, even if you don't get everything you like in here, I hope that you can see the value in challenging the status quo.
So as a trainer for the Racial Equity Institute, I travel all over the country and educate folks on race, why was it created, how structural racism shows up in every system, whether it be healthcare, housing, education, banking. The thing that we often say is that we can't fix race-based problems with race-neutral solutions. And that's really difficult for folks to grasp, right? Because we think we have to be neutral, and when we talk about race and who we're trying to help. And I understand what Brian was saying. Like, we are in those three main points. When I first saw them, I'm like, yeah, all those 3 points, Black people are disproportionality is like an all-time high, right? For all three of those. So Black people would benefit from those 3 points. So I'm not taking that away, but I'm also adding that there's actually more benefits for trying to solve structural issues using racial language in that process. So affirmative action, right? I think that's one of the best examples, because we know that Black people have been marginalized, not just Black folks, but other folks of color and women, right? They've been marginalized. So affirmative action was supposed to even the playing field, but because they had race neutral language, it didn't do that. In fact, it actually widened it. The greatest beneficiaries of affirmative action are white women, white women benefit the most from affirmative action, which means white families, white people benefit the most from this legislation. So when we think about what I mean, or we can't solve race-based problems or race-neutral solutions, I think affirmative action is a good example on that.
The thing is that, having been in politics for 20 years, the question is, how do we actually implement the solution? How do we get there? And the answer that I'm proposing here is, first, we have to shift America from a mindset of scarcity to a mindset of abundance. We have to get ourselves in a place where people can feel secure, and then look around and see what else needs to be fixed and addressed.
I mean, I think we all have the greatest hurdle is getting over this political apathy, as you stated. One of the biggest things that even our founding fathers understood is that a system only works if people participate in it. So if you get people to stop participating in it, it no longer works.
To individuals, I share stories with them and they share stories with me. And when they share their story and their experiences, I find a way to help them realize that their story and their experience is not a silo event. That right now it looks like they're having an individual issue, but it's actually a collective issue. And when we can help change the paradigm or shift their paradigm from looking at it from an individual level to a communal level, then we can start to have a commonality and have something that sustains relationships and sustains learning from each other and growing with each other.
Historic age. We're seeing us at a time where we're in the midst of the collapse of empire that rivals the Roman Empire. And this is a very fragile time and a very beneficial time, because as we now get people to have the veil pulled out from underneath their eyes and the masks are ripped off, people are now starting to come to see the light of truth. And with that, we need to gather all our forces, muster all our strength, and focus on building this new infrastructure while this other structure is collapsing around us.
That's right.
Because
Right on.
you cannot have creation without destruction. Be strong, be smart, be unified. That is all.